Welcome to Drive for Service, a podcast to inspire a higher quality of service. A very warm welcome to today's Drive for Service podcast. I'm Amy Morant, and I'm here with my very good friend of 14 years, David O'Connor.
Hello, everyone.
Co-owner of Medlar Restaurant in Chelsea. David and I have worked for a number of years together in restaurants, and we've always driven the teams to deliver a level of service that is outstanding. Now, we're here today to learn from the industry's best how they deliver a level of service that isn't just good, but goes above and beyond. David, would you like to introduce today's guest?
Of course. I'm delighted to welcome today the CEO of Virgin Atlantic, Shai Weiss. Welcome.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What a pleasure. What a pleasure.
Lovely to have you here. Tell us about your career story.
I'm going to be really brief. My career is varied, but it really started in the States. I moved from Israel to the United States to work and study, but I did actually work in restaurants after my military service. So that's it was a huge passion of mine. So yes. I worked in the kitchen. I worked in the as a waiter in Israel's then finest restaurant. So this was 1990, so a long time ago. But in terms of a formative career, I worked in New York, and then I went to business school, went to work, and then I came to London, worked in Morgan Stanley in the investment banking side and the technology M&A, mergers and acquisitions, totally different to the stuff that you guys do. Then worked in a bit of in cable, and then joined the within the cable industry. I worked in a company called then NTL. We bought a company called Virgin Media, which was an idea of transforming NTL, which is now called Virgin Media. And then I got to know Richard Branson, and I've been working with him ever since. But the last 10 years or so have been really the highlight of my career. I've been working with Virgin Atlantic. I started off the chief financial officer, and then I was chief commercial officer. And I'm now in my 6th year as CEO of Virgin Atlantic. I'm sure we'll unpick that, but that's really that's the highlight.
Amazing.
So we did a bit of reading out before the interview, obviously, and in your bio it says that you're keenly focused on Virgin Atlantic and Virgin Atlantic Holidays together becoming the most well-loved travel company.
Yes.
We'd love to find out, what do you think the magic ingredients is of making a company loved?
Yes, so we have a very clear, when we organize ourselves, by the way, there is Virgin Atlantic and Virgin Holidays, the same company. It's basically Virgin Atlantic. Mm-hmm. We have Virgin Atlantic, the holiday arm of, people want to go on holidays, and we try and cater to their needs. But a few years ago, we tried to find a unifying mission that would take us forward, that would really help us create a flywheel, something that is perpetual in motion and spurs us on. And it sounds trivial to say we're going to be the most loved travel company, but it took a long time to do that. We were inspired by Jim Collins, a very famous author, probably the most famous business author in the world. He has a book called From Good to Great. And that Good to Great book is such an inspiring book because you would think it's only for, the very large companies in the world, the very sophisticated and successful companies in the world. But actually, we found that it can be for even mid-sized companies. I know compared to you guys, we're huge, with over 8,000 amazing people. Yeah. But we try to find something which is a perpetual flywheel that would be the essence of what we do, that would unify our people towards a very clear mission. And we came up with the most loved travel company, and actually, attached to that, we've also said, and become sustainably profitable. So it was a yin and a yang. But the mission itself is most loved. And we said that, if anyone in travel, it's very hard to be a loved company. But if anyone was ever going to succeed to be the most loved travel company, heck, it should be Virgin Atlantic. Yeah. And it spurred us to really think about journeys, about our customers, about our people in such a different way. And in many ways, it's unlikely we will ever get close to being the most loved, right? That's, most loved is you're going to have to talk to the punters on the street, and the punters will have to say, if we're going to ask them who's the most loved, they're going to have to say Virgin Atlantic. Now, some people will say that. I know you guys will, and of course I will. But it's such a encouraging, such a positive statement. So that was a very important thing. And actually, the most important element of it was love.
Yeah.
Putting love into business is unusual. I would say it at the beginning, it had resistance. It wasn't a straightforward thing, but I think attaching love to the stuff that we do for our people, for our customers, in a very demanding industry was a revelation. And we're going for it.
Yeah, I think that's what David and I really liked about it, because when you use the word love, you're thinking about passion, you're thinking about dedication to that. And that's what we really, really like about that idea.
Absolutely. And it leads on to the next point, actually, about the thought of creating those customer relations and regular customers, as we do at Medlar.
Yeah.
In terms of what you do.
In terms of, how do we create loyalty?
Yes.
Look, aviation, travel is so competitive. In many ways, getting from A to B, especially from London, most of the routes are competed. Price tends to be, if you're going for the full service carriers, price tends to be relatively similar because everybody's looking at what everybody's pricing on the web, and you can match and create. So it's unlikely that you're going to have an advantage just on price. So it came to service and loyalty, which I think this is really the reason for this podcast.
Yes.
But and like I said, with this mission of being the most loved, we are really, really fueled, inspired by our people. They are the magic sauce, the things that makes us so unique and different. And they have been doing this for 40 years. Actually, this year is our 40th anniversary. June 22nd, 1994 was the first flight from Newark, from Gatwick to Newark. So it's a big year of celebrations for Virgin Atlantic. But the common thread, and Amy, you'll probably, as a former cabin crew of Virgin Atlantic, you'll probably resonate on this point. But our secret sauce, the magic that makes everything unique to Virgin Atlantic, is the service. It's the brilliant basics. It's trying to make every moment of the journey unique. The empowerment to fix things when they go wrong. And things in aviation and travel go wrong all the time.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
things are very, very limited as well.
But we empower our people to make the decisions as if they were owners of the company. As if this thing really matters. And like I said, we would not be here, we wouldn't be Virgin Atlantic without the thousands of people who've made us great over the years. And I'm sure will take us forward over the next 40 years.
Yeah, we certainly resonate with the brilliant basics and the empowerment.
Yeah.
But how do you instill that brilliant basics on the...
How do you keep that consistent? Consistent.
So first of all, we're lucky, right? This company, which I've been associated for many, many years, was founded by Richard Branson. And his ethos, his way of thinking about customers, his way of, challenging the status quo, seeing the world differently, which is our slogan for our campaigns lately, has been with us from day one. So he's a huge figure, and he set it up. That way. So our job was to ensure that we could bottle that magic, train for that magic, actually recruit for the magic, and take it forward. So I would say that we haven't lost that uniqueness, that different way of looking at business over the years. But it comes from the very first day. I would say we're doing it differently. Of course, the world has moved on.
What are you looking for when you search for people?
Yeah, so when you look for people, right, you can either recruit for attitude or you can recruit for aptitude. So the abilities, and of course you need, first of all, our people are entrusted with the lives of people. Right now, there are 10,000 people in the air, including our cabin crew. At any given moment of time, there are 10,000 people flying on Virgin Atlantic. And our number one role is actually the health, safety, and security of our people and customers. So you cannot just not be able to do that. But if you add a very specific dimension of attitude, this desire to delight people, desire to go the extra mile, the extra step, to fix things when they go wrong, to anticipate, to connect and communicate in a warm and friendly way, that's where we shine. And the people that we recruit have to excel in the human connection of service, of journeys, of taking people from A to B in a way that is not just a commodity. It's something well beyond that. That's where we excel. So we always say, we need the aptitude, but we recruit for attitude, because the rest we believe we can teach.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you drive people to keep that company culture in their day-to-day roles? Because it can, obviously, when I did the training, which was a long time ago, you kind of do 6 weeks of customer service training. But that had a huge impact in me, and I kept that throughout my time at Virgin, and I think that's really interesting. Is that? But
remember, our company is not just made of our most famous, of course, are the pilots and the cabin crew. But we have, our staff at the airports, our engineers that make sure that the flight and the planes are safe and ready to go. All the people in the enabling functions that you don't actually see. So, of course, the glamour is with our cabin crew, with their distinct uniforms and their beautiful smiles and their impeccable appearances. Yeah. But don't forget, it's a whole company that is unified around our mission. Mm-hmm. So I do believe that creating very distinct missions, purpose-led businesses, very clear set of values and strategies to deliver that is essential. Mm. Second is recognizing and rewarding. The best part of my job is actually going to meet our people. This is where I get my energy. Mm-hmm. This is where I learn the most. Yeah. This is where I always find things that I've learned from the front line I can take and try to codify it. Not me, the team, to codify it, to perfect it, to instill it. But like I said, it's a perpetual business. It's the people we have recruit the next generation of people. Mm. The next generation of people are inspired by the existing. It instills it. And I think, isn't that really the biggest question of the world? How do you keep culture going?
Yeah. I guess that leads on to the next point about culture. Obviously culture and brand's very big at Virgin. I mean, how does this tie into service, and what advice would you give to a small business?
Yeah, so I have a very clear view on culture, which is you can't build a culture. You cannot do that. Actually, what you can do is promote behaviors. Mm-hmm. And behaviors, after a very long period of time, if you've got the right set of behaviors, the trailing indicator, the thing that follows, is these common stories, these hero moments, these recognition of excellence in service, this obsession with getting things right. Yeah. Then you've got a culture. Like I said, Virgin Atlantic has been around for 40 years. But the things that we do is everything we talk about is geared towards service, irreverence, a smile. We always say that the number one thing that we've got to do is make our customers smile. If they smile, they're smiling because we did something right. Mm-hmm. And if we did something right, they'll remember it. Even, and I keep on saying this, even and especially when it went wrong. Right? We're in the service business. Everything
when
goes
wrong. You have a chance to put it right and create. Yeah. A magic moment.
Yep,
I can imagine there's a lot of things that can go wrong, particularly in aviation.
Every second of the day, a lot of things go right, but certain things go wrong. Yeah. Some of them without our control. Whether it is weather related, supply chain related, unfortunately macro events. Wars and restrictions on flying and pandemics. Yeah. The last few years have been beyond belief in terms of what has happened. Mm-hmm. But there are consistent themes in terms of excelling in the provision of service, in standing out, and being Virgin Atlantic.
Fantastic.
Well, I was going to ask, what do you think sets you apart from the rest, in terms of your customer service reputation? Why do you think people keep coming back to Virgin?
This is it. It's our people. I'll go back in time. When I went to business school many years ago in New York, in Columbia Business School, at that point in time, the logic was that the things that really matter are what we call the advantages of a business, whether there are monopolies, natural advantages, scale, a patent, and people. That's okay. You can always recruit people that to do the jobs. And that was a school of thought in the late 90s. I would call it the school of efficiency or advantages, monopolies, of this nature. And if I've learned anything since, and I think the world has moved in that direction, is that you can have all of that. And of course, for some businesses, it really works quite well. But if you are in competitive industries and the world has become ultra competitive, the things that sets you apart are actually your people, how they are led, how they are empowered, what motivates them, what are they trying to achieve? Do they actually enjoy their work? Do they love the company they work for? So for us, it's always been our people. Always, 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 always our people. I think if you look at our people, they are just special. They are very generous with the application of their love towards service. And it's a demanding job. It really is very, very difficult. Sometimes the circumstances are out of our control, are difficult in which they operate. Yeah. But the ability to know that we trust them to shine in the moment and beyond. The best moments I have is when I receive a lot of kind of mail, postcards, things of saying, this person excelled and they made a difference to me. And it could be a small thing. Somebody forgot something on the plane, but somebody ran the entire airport and found that person before they left. Here's your book or your iPad or things of that nature. People who need special attention on our planes. Remember, we carry the human race. It's not all just cookie cutters. So the ability to tailor to the needs of customers, to personalize, to do that in a consistent and professional way, that's the secret sauce, especially when you're a mid-sized company. I know, again, compared to a restaurant, we seem like a huge company, and we are. But compared to some of the other airlines in the world, we're a mid-sized airline, yet we punch above our weight.
I find it very interesting, this idea of empowering your workforce. And certainly, I think I've said to David before that when we first started working together, he just said to me, there's no such thing as no. Just try saying yes a bit more.
Yes. And then find a solution.
Yeah.
Right?
And you can't always obviously deliver exactly what the customer is asking for. But this idea of saying yes, I remember a few years ago, I was flying out to go and see someone get married, actually. And I asked to, and this was on Virgin Atlantic, and I asked one of the crew, I said, I'd like to buy a bottle of champagne. Obviously, we're going to pop it open in the morning with the bride-to-be.
Who was on the plane with you?
She wasn't. Oh. No, I was buying the champagne to take off. And I remember that they'd run out of champagne. They'd sold it all.
Yes.
And just before I was about to get off the flight, one of the crew from the first class, the upper class, came down the plane and said, I've got this bottle off the bar for you. And I said, I can't believe it. I said, would you like some, money for it? No, you just have, a wonderful holiday and wish your friend the best. And I remember just being it just was such a lovely magic touch that I didn't expect from, what is a large company in my mind. And it was the empowerment. They'd been told that they could do that, and that was fantastic.
And if there's something that and those stories resonate, right? Because they're in the spur of the moment. It shows a personal touch. It shows that our people actually care, that they're not afraid of the system. The system, because we can't always provide champagne free. We need to also sell it.
Yes, absolutely.
So just like you can't provide everybody with a free meal, that's not the point. You are in business. But underlying that, and if there is something that I've learned over the years, is the sense of trust. Trusting my team, trusting our people, knowing that like I said, it's a very large company. It's a very complex operation. Not one person can do the job. Not one team can do the job. It requires a village of our people, a collective enterprise to get a perfect flight and with happy customers on board. So you've got to trust.
Yeah.
And it takes time to learn how to trust completely. For me, it happened during the pandemic. It was a very demanding period. The demands on our people, on the company, were so unique, so deep. The understanding that one individual could not make a difference without their team, no matter where you were in the company, and you had to almost completely and blindly trust. And when you saw the outcome, when people were unified by a very specific mission of making sure the Virgin Atlantic survived the pandemic, that notion of trust, I think, is something that we've all taken forward post-pandemic into the next phase of our operations and existence.
I think it made a lot of people grow that time as well. It was in some ways there was a lot of positive things that came
out of it. Absolutely. Transformation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we just wondered if David and I were going to work for you, what would be the 3 non-negotiable things that you would need to see from us if we were going to work for you? Non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables. So, I think, over the last year, somebody challenged me to write principles, or my principles for leadership.
Yes.
Which has taken me a very long time to do, probably 30 years. It's called A Recipe for Leadership. Actually, it was I just shared it with whoever wants to have it. It's on LinkedIn, on Instagram as of Thursday, 2 days ago. And I would say it's kind of a list of 20 things that are very relevant for Virgin Atlantic. It's not all of them are principles. Some of them are distinctive descriptions of what it means to be a leader of Virgin Atlantic. But I would say, first is build your team with the best and only the best. So I would expect you to have the best people around you, no compromise. We can only be as good as our teams, and the teams, I'm a huge believer in teams. We always say that running an airline is the ultimate team sport. So, and if your team is not good enough, you don't have a chance. Second is team above self. So I would want to know that you guys value the team before you value your own progression, your own, your own advancement. Because we say as a team, we fly higher.
Yeah.
And then I would say that this recipe ends with dare to imagine a better future. So I would hope that you could also be an imagination business. Think about what's next, because in your business, you're only literally as good as your last dish.
Yeah.
The next dish needs to be made with perfection, with obsession, with love. And you're opening a new restaurant. It can't be the same medlar. No. It has to be something new, something better, something different. So, but it takes, first of all, the dare to imagine, imagining, and then the most important thing is make it happen. My favorite one, and which is kind of resonating because people know me quite well, is number 8, which is action over words. And then it says, get shit done.
Beep.
It doesn't actually say the word. The word is only S and T and 2 underscores. But so actions. Those will be the non-negotiables. Yeah. First of all, team,
just get on with it.
Just get on with it. Yeah. It's so funny, all of those I think David said to me at one time or another.
Well,
I was just thinking, sitting there going,
yes.
So,
that's fantastic. Let's talk about Medlar. I mean, you're a regular customer.
Yes.
Tell us why you enjoy coming back.
First of all, I'm really glad to be here. It's a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week, but I was looking forward to meeting you guys.
That's nice. Thank you.
And I was trying to think why that is. You know, I've been to your restaurant many, many, many times. Probably I must say it's the restaurant I've been to the most in my life, I think. So,
wow.
Yeah. It has to be. I live around.
I have the data on OpenTable. I can let you know.
I live close by. And it's, you know, to create a place where people want to come back to time and time again in the restaurant business is unusual. So what's your magic? What's your secret sauce? And I talked to Ada, my wife, and kind of just to understand what her perspective on it was as well. So first of all, the food is excellent. Okay? And the ingredients are the best. But it's beyond... So the food is excellent. It's not a trivial interpretation of classics. It's got an edge, a dimension, some personality to it. But the most important thing, it's consistently warm. It's welcoming. Somehow that environment infuses relaxation, a good conversation, a feeling almost, I don't want to be too corny, but an extension of your own life into something that you feel that you are part of. And I know it's, okay, of course, not everybody comes multiple times, but I think when I observe you guys, you give the same level of attention and dedication to your newest customers as you do to your oldest customers. So I find it a place that is welcoming on so many dimensions, and I just, I enjoy going there. And that's not trivial to do.
No.
Well, that makes me very proud to hear that.
Yeah, I was about to say it's hard to achieve, isn't it? All of those things, I think, and I think the word neighbourhood has always, you know, been something that Medlar's aimed at, isn't it? The neighbourhood restaurant, and
you don't get a lot, you know, neighborhood restaurants aren't always just as excellent as you would expect. And I guess to have such a fantastic place, not too far from home where we can walk, and we've taken many, you know, family and friends and colleagues and business, and everyone. I don't think I've had a bad experience.
Well, that's testament to the team, isn't it? As well?
Yes. Only as good as you.
So thank you.
Yeah. They're all great,
and I was really pleased to come and talk with you guys today.
Thank you. I thank you so much for answering our questions so far. Is there anything that you would like to ask us?
Yes, I do. I do have a question to ask you. So I'm always curious to see what your motivation, what motivations are. What motivates people to go further, to do more, to do, to excel in such a demanding industry, where you have to work physically and mentally so hard. So I'm just curious, what is your motivations?
For me, I like pleasing people.
I know I was about to say I'm a people pleaser.
There you go.
And I like developing people, my team.
Yeah.
I like to see the result of that, obviously. I'm always pushing to improve myself, my team. I demand that the team improves. I just really enjoy that side of it. Meeting lots of different people, working with lots of different people from all walks of life. And it's part of my life.
Yeah, meeting different people and also sometimes surprising people as well.
Yes.
You know, that's very nice when we go above and beyond. The magic touches, actually, because especially if people aren't expecting it, to do that little bit above and beyond where they wouldn't necessarily get that in another restaurant. I think that's something that drives me as well. And also, when people are celebrating really important events in their lives and, we impact their lives, we've had a few lovely weddings and engagements and...
Making a difference.
Yeah, it's making it... You really feel like you are making a difference, when people come in, they go, oh, do you remember, thank you so much. It's been a lovely day and you made my wedding so special. And it's not just the day-to-day things. It's also...
That's the satisfaction.
Yeah, it's such a satisfaction.
Well,
yeah.
If you don't want to continue in Medlar, I'm sure we'll find a place for you at Virgin Atlantic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, quick fire.
Please.
All right.
I got it, yes.
We'll try and make it quick for
Yes.
us.
So, Shai, the best service you've ever received. So it can be restaurants or whatever.
It's not going to be a restaurant. I was really lucky. Last week I did something very special. And I guess you have to be in a very specific place in a very specific time. You know, we buy planes. And last Friday, so kind of a day ago, I had the pleasure and the honor to fly to Toulouse, where Airbus headquarters are. And you won't believe this. You actually need to pick up a plane. Now, I'm not a pilot. There was a whole team of engineers, pilots, cabin crew, a finance team. And we flew to Toulouse to pick up a brand new A350. And if you can imagine white glove service, it was a special moment because we were celebrating also 40 years. Yeah. We had bought 55 wide-body planes from Airbus over the years. They only joined our party in 1993. We were formed in 1984. We also have Boeing, and it was a very special celebration. We always have names and icons on these planes. This one was called Wendy Darling. It's worth, I'm not going to give exactly the price, but anywhere between 100 to 200 million pounds. And to go there, and it was a celebration, but also there is a delivery center where, the plane is prepared and the paperwork is signed and you're taking possession on this. And I was able to go I was invited by our pilots, our chief pilot, Rob Loughton, who flies the Airbus, to join him in the cockpit. And this big machine just worked. And we had drinks before and canapes. And, I think that is a memorable day. And I wanted to be part of it once in my career. Yeah. So I think being able to pick up not a car, but a plane on a ferry flight from Toulouse to Heathrow.
Did they chuck you the keys?
There are no keys. There are no keys. But to see our team, do their magic. And, this plane was probably, it's a decade in the thinking. Yeah. It's probably 2 years in the making. And here it is, taking off with a beautiful ceremony celebrating our 40th anniversary. I thought that was that's probably, that's a once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So that's the best service I've seen.
Yeah, that's a good service story, isn't it?
Unusual, but still the best.
Anyone in the industry that inspires you?
Look, I get to work with amazing people, but it'd be remiss of me not to mention my friend and my boss, Richard Branson. He does inspire me, continues to do so. His ability to challenge the status quo, think differently, and remain ferociously competitive and pushing the envelope forward. I've known the guy for 20 years. And I'm still here. He's there, of course, but I'm still here. Despite massive mistakes and failures along the way.
Inspiring. But, his books and documentaries are just...
Yes. Yeah. So I've really I'm lucky that I have somebody that I admire both as a boss, a colleague, and a friend.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Favorite wine?
Actually, no. I'll drink a lot of wine. I think if I had to choose a style, it would probably, I don't know. Actually, a Chablis Premier Cru, but multiple domains and nothing very specific. I'll try everything.
Do you have a particular cocktail or
cocktail? Yes, absolutely. Yes, that is unmovable. It's a vodka martini with an olive, dry. Beautiful. That's
Fantastic.
That's my best.
Lovely. A book that inspires you.
Yeah. And I was, Hernan Diaz, In the Distance. It's, it has nothing to do with my business. So it's not a business book. It's a fiction book. Hernan Diaz, of course, is quite well known now. And this book is about a really soul-searching journey of a very unusual individual in the United States. And it's such a, I got so involved and dedicated to this book, and it just transcended everything that I was doing on a day-to-day. And I love travel. I love journeys. I actually like being sometimes just on my own in my own thoughts. And that book really took me to places I had not been before.
Thank you. Great suggestion.
Okay, best place of food.
Actually, food. Okay, I love food. And the best food, okay, if I had to choose a food to eat for the rest of my life, it would be a very good plate of hummus. I'm originally from Israel, and hummus means a great deal to me. And there is a specific place in Jaffa that is very well known. It's called Abu Hassan or Ali Caravan. And it's just a plate of hummus. And you would think that's, and it's you can see the sea. And it's very, very egalitarian. Everybody comes in, has the same thing. It's very cheap. It's very fulfilling. It's vegetarian. And you can eat it, in my mind, every single day. So that'd be my favorite place.
Sounds lovely. What's your easy meal at home?
So I bake sourdough. Very awesome.
I do love baking sourdough.
Yes. And I think it's not that complicated. It just takes time. I picked up the Chad Robertson tartine book, the book that, it's 40 pages just to do a sourdough. Yeah. But I've been doing this for many years. I think it's not bad, if I may say so myself.
It's the pursuit of perfection, isn't it, with sourdough?
And it's a 24-hour process, but it's not that complicated. Yeah. But 2 fried eggs with a bit of butter or with great olive oil and a sourdough with a side on avocado. That's my best meal.
Done.
Yes.
I'm not sure how easy that is, though.
For me, it's not complicated.
I know.
You said at home.
I think I'd love to come and have you cook that for me, actually.
Yes, it's my favorite. Yeah, bread is, of course, good bread is
hard to beat. Hard to beat, yeah, yes. Absolutely.
And eggs, of course, a good egg is a good egg.
Oh, yeah.
Shai, why Arsenal?
I've been following football since I was a young kid, but I moved to the UK in 96, 97, and for a period of time I didn't have a team. And one of the jobs I did, it's a crazy story almost. One of the jobs I did was I needed to do a turnaround of a company that owned football internet rights on behalf of NTL, the cable company that I worked in. Okay. In those years, and in 2001, I went to see an Arsenal versus Newcastle game, and it was in Highbury. It was the old stadium, and this company NTL, or the company called Premium TV, which we owned, had a stake in Newcastle. So I went as if I was the owner. I was a young guy, and I got to go into the boardroom and have a lunch with the directors. Wow. Arsene Wenger was there. I was representing Newcastle, and I looked at this stadium, and I saw Arsene Wenger speak, and I saw the players, of course, play. I think it was a draw at that point in time, and I decided that Arsenal would be my team, and I've been devoted ever since. I have a season ticket, and whenever I'm in town, I try and go to those games. So I have a very unique story of why I chose that team.
Very nice.
But it fits my style as well,
Because David supports Liverpool.
I did not know that. But actually, if I had to choose another team, it'd probably be the likes of Liverpool. Something that is really grounded in people's lives. It's not trying to buy fame. Yeah. It's a long-term process. And I was there for the I was there for the good years. Then we suffered for many years. We now have some good years. Not as good as Liverpool, but maybe, we will do something great.
So thoughts on the final games of the season?
I always, the problem is I think with both the mind and the heart. So with the heart, okay, why can't we win the championship and the Champions League? But with the brain and the head, it looks pretty awful. The run-in. So I don't know. But I think we've had a great season. And it's a very young team. I like how they're playing. I like their passion. The stadium, the environment in the stadium is dramatically changed. People are into it. It's a very kind audience now. And everybody's united behind the team. So no matter what happened or happens, I've enjoyed it.
Great.
Fantastic. Also, we've read in a previous interview that you read the New Yorker from front to back.
Yes.
So why the New Yorker?
Well, first of all, the answer is in the name. I lived in New York from 92 to 97. That's where I went to my undergraduate. That's where I worked. That's where I went to business school in Columbia Business School. And I love New York. And the New Yorker, of course, is an international perspective, but it has an attachment. It has a perspective of a New Yorker. And while I'm a Londoner now, I still have there is no publication called The Londoner, as far as I know.
Otherwise, you'd also read that.
I'll probably read The Londoner. So I'm stuck with The New Yorker. And I like the long form. So it's not just the facts, it's storytelling. And I believe that the greatest thing that you can do is tell great stories. And The New Yorker excels in those great stories. And that's my go-to.
Amazing.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, Shai, it's been an absolute masterclass for me today.
A pleasure and an education. So thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you.
And you guys keep going strong and do what you're doing. It's really, you've built one already, and hopefully the next one will be even better.
Thank you very much, Shai.
Thank you so much.
Just one more question. Where can we find your principles?
Actually, the principles are now, if you just go into LinkedIn and it's under my my LinkedIn and on Instagram. And if you need, I'll just send them to you.
We'll add a link below
Please,
on YouTube.
Thank you.
So,
It's been fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Drive for Service podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Medler Chelsea and make sure that you like and subscribe for future episodes.